think so.
Good. Hello, Bambos.
Hello, Andy.
I'd like to do something, if I may. I just felt like doing that.
the shit you get away with.
You chose this backdrop.
Yeah.
I have no idea why you chose it, but guardianship seems to be inappropriate because in some ways it does feel like
those of you who do not know what that is a stormtrooper.
We have a stormtrooper behind us, and they are very much the evil empire. So we are on with Christian McAnally. McAnally.
Yeah,
and
McAnally.
We are going to discuss the conspiracy of guardianship. And it is a fascinating topic that we're going to get into for an hour. And there's a lot more stuff going on in his life, and we're going to discuss that as well, of course.
And we're going to do all that and so much more on...
So much more, Bambos. You're killing me with your so much more. A wonderful chaos. Bambos, Charles Demetrio.
Andy Shaliff.
You know, on the rare occasions that we bring on subjects, I think it's good to contextualize before they come on. Yeah. I thought it'd be nice to do that for this show. And first of all, just to say, what is guardianship? You know, and I'm sure Christian will also get into that. But like, I just thought I found this really nice image, and I thought, let's just use an image for the first time in a long time. Isn't that fascinating? But we have to move our heads over to the side now. The other way, Bambos. The other way. Basically, guardianship is giving an individual the authority to, it's an individual, right? That takes over the authority of another to decide on matters relating to physical and mental well-being of a person. And that would be deciding where a person will live, caring for clothing, furniture, vehicles, consenting or withholding consent on medical care, and providing care, comfort, and overall well-being for the individual. So that is basically what a guardian does. Now, how that happens and the process and all of the, call it the shit in between, that's what we're going to be discussing. But it's even more important because I really want us to understand the show can go in a lot of different directions. We're now talking to Christian McAnally, whose mother is currently in the hospital. He's just been told that what they're, I guess, declaring as comfort care is now being taken away, which means that it's just a matter of time before his mom dies.
Yeah.
So he's coming on the show. We almost never have anyone on a show when they're this close to being in the middle of something.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of vulnerability here and care.
And care. So I don't know where we're going, and nor do I particularly care per se, but I do want to at least acknowledge that, you know, it's not the time I'd want to be having a discussion. So I'd rather hold space for Christian, discuss what's going on for him. Of course, discuss how he's frustrated as hell with what's going on with the guardianship at this moment, but let him decide where he wants to go, right? So.
Yeah, we often say that we want our guests to feel good when coming on the show.
Yeah.
And it's about if they're having a good time, and that's all that matters. And you guys watching get to be the witness
of that.
Yeah.
Or not. But we'll see where we go today. Yeah.
Can you click on the comments?
Hello, Christian.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for having me on the show.
As I mentioned, given what's going on in your life, and this information just came to you regarding your mom, thank you for being with us. And all I want to say is I love you, actually. That's all I can say.
Well, you know, at a time like this, sometimes what you end up feeling is love.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's you know, my mom, of course, was taken away from me, and I think by a drunk driver. And when I after that experience occurred, I looked at life differently. So in a way, sitting with you now is like there's an incapacity, actually. What am I going to do? Ask you stupid questions about some random shit that might be totally irrelevant for you at this moment? Yeah.
Well, I know where I can start.
Please.
where I don't know if your audience saw your definition of guardian, but that is what they like to think. That's what they do, but that's not what they do. They pretty much gain access to everything. They do not do what's in the ward's best interest or what they would think the ward would want. They pretty much have one goal in mind. It's a business. Who can make the most money? I don't know if you had said something about dirty money or dirty talks or something.
Yeah, when I did research, there was a movie on Netflix that dealt with the subject of corruption in guardianship, and it was called Dirty Money.
Okay, now two good. Well, there's one documentary that I would really highly recommend, and that's called The Guardians, and that came out in 2018.
Yeah,
it's on Amazon Prime. That pretty much depicts very accurately, and it's actually based on, I think, 2 or 3 families, real stories
dealing with the real situations.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, I did not, and also I care a lot, especially the first 30 minutes, without the laughter and the humor in it. Just to point that a guardian, and each state is a little bit different. Now, in Virginia, a lot of them tend to be attorneys.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that specialize in protecting elderly rights and protecting them from abuse. So they hide behind that veil.
Yeah.
Now, she's been involved in this family for 1.5 years.
Yeah. Can I slow down, because you're already getting into some details, and I don't know how comfortable you are, but it would be great to rewind back to where it is that this came into your life. Why did they come in? What was the situation with your mom that made it important? Like, do you feel comfortable kind of sharing that?
I do, to some degree. Family conflict. Between me and one sibling. And it's just 3.5 years ago. And Adult Protective Services became involved. When Adult Protective Services or, the government becomes involved in your life, it's very hard to get them out.
Wow.
Yeah, you really won't know. I didn't know until this past December how corrupt things were. So for 1.5 years, I had to deal with other things. My parents were put in assisted living against my, recommendation or what I wanted, because I always wanted to take care of them. And I have been fighting to get them out. And then 1.5 years ago, the guardian, she was recommended from a guardian ad litem. When somebody, my sister, filed a petition for guardianship, and then a guardian ad litem was appointed. And what I want to make clear, one thing that I want to make clear is that their rights are removed. So, right before they even have a guardian, their rights are completely removed. The guardian ad litem maybe met with them one time. I don't know for how long. Could have been for a minute. Could have been just to give them the paperwork. My parents.
Can I slow you down now, just because I want to kind of take a step by step on this? Yeah. So years ago, you have a family conflict, a rivalry. We don't need to go into the details of that, which brings a situation where you can't do what you'd like to do, which is take care of your parents, like any child that had a connection to them, and that occurring. Now, the government needs to get involved, because in some ways you can't resolve it with your sibling, and your parents, I'm assuming, are getting less capable of managing their own lives.
Correct.
And so because of that, your sister in this case has now asked that the government put a guardian in place to take care of your parents, because in this case, you're not allowed to take care of them.
Well, the guardian ad litem is automatically put in place when somebody files for a petition.
Got it. Okay.
It's like the guardian for my parent, the lawyer for my parents.
Okay. Fascinating. Isn't it amazing? As you speak, I'm feeling like constriction in my like body, because what I'm hearing is I've had a relationship with these individuals. I'm closest to these individuals. I know what they want because they've told me 100 times. But all of a sudden, there's a separation where you're no longer having any capacity to decide anything on their behalf.
Correct.
God, that's got to suck.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You know, when the guardian came in, and she pretty much did not do one thing that a guardian should do. In the state of Virginia, and I'm pretty sure, you know, every state, they need to file like an inventory, you know, 4 months later of the estate, everything, the belongings, the personal property, the money, everything.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that. She has not. You know, a guardian is also supposed to notify the courts or the commissioner of accounts if they feel they need to sell the ward's house or estate.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to get a notification.
A notification, of
Every
course.
15 days, I think, you know, the commissioner of accounts waits to see if there's an objection or if there's going to be a hearing or some sort. The only letter that I got was November 30th when the house was pending.
Wow.
I told her there was a will, and she did not bother to get a copy or look for it. And when she took over, actually, she had changed the locks in the house and would not let me get any of my stuff or anything of my parents. She gave me one day, May 29th. And because I had been up like 2 nights that week, I asked, I have all the emails, I have all the evidence, and her time will come. But I asked if we could reschedule, and she said, nope, this is the day. So I set like 20 alarms, but my body was just so stressed out after all doing everything that I slept like 16 hours and woke up at 3:33. And I immediately emailed her, and she said, that's it. Yeah, I'm not going to reschedule. I said, can I have the key? You know, I never even asked for the key before that because I already knew. And she said, no explanation, no nothing. So from May, June, July, August, September, I could not get anything. And I had a lot of stuff in there because I had lost my house and trying to pay for one of my dad's houses. And there were thousands of dollars, you know, just of my stuff, you know, new stuff, you know, and she wouldn't let me get anything out. And then she said she gave us an email saying that cannonsauctions.com on West Broad Street would be auctioning it off online, you know, weekly, and that I could bid on my stuff if I wanted to.
It's so absurd.
Crazy. It is.
I think what people have to think about is, if you're thinking about this, imagine that you have a relationship with your parents. Now, you're not getting along with your sister, obviously, which is the issue here. And just because of that conflict, all of a sudden, everything for your parents goes to shit, actually. I mean, in a way, for everyone.
Yeah. And I actually went on there, and there were like 1,100 items plus. And I'm supposed to look at each one individually, and they're grouped with other, you know, items. And, you know, needless to say,
but let's understand this for one moment. Sorry, one more thing. Your parents are still alive.
Yes.
And this ward has gone into the house where you also lived and obviously now moved out of.
Since I was 12. I mean, that was the only house my parents owned.
And they've taken all the items before their death, and they're auctioning them on the internet right now.
Yes. Including my stuff. And, you know, I must say that I went ahead and did what probably anybody else would have done. So I kept bidding and bidding and bidding. I said, that's my stuff, you know? So it went like almost to $1,000. Of course, I'm not going to pay $1,000, but you better give me my stuff.
Oh, wow.
You know, and of course, I got the email where that was upset. Stop bidding on that. You're upsetting, you know, you're ruining the auction for other people. And I mean, it's just incredible, incredible. But I was able, what I do want to say about that is that I did go over to Cannon's auctions, and Clyde, the person that, you know, she does business with, and I won't say her name just yet. He wasn't there, so I asked the lady that was working there, well, could I have a copy of the things that sold? And she actually gave me a copy of, till that time, the things that sold or didn't sell. You know, for example, my mom's, the only Italian furniture that I knew, you know, in their master bedroom sold for $5. And my bike that I couldn't wait to open up, it was brand new, $233. But yet she said that everything, you know, she had made a comment, I think, or there was, my sister had gotten an inventory that said that everything, the personal items were valued at $500. So imagine 80 some years old, they only had $500 worth of items. They don't have to itemize. They don't have to report. They can do whatever they want. And after the auction ended and everything was gone, I only saw about 40% of my things that were auctioned off. My parents.
Oh.
I asked, yeah. And I asked for the inventory so I could see. But this time, Clyde was there, and he said, you'll have to ask Amanda. And he was very cold and brutal.
Wow.
And I had
So in essence, half the things that you owned in that house weren't auctioned, nor were you even allowed access to them, even if they weren't sold. So they may have just been thrown out.
Correct. I have her email where I asked again, what did you do with my diaries? What did you do with my birth certificate? The photo albums, you know, etc. And she said that what did not sell at the auction was discarded.
Wow.
Sorry, my lips are dry.
Please drink. It's it seems so crazy.
Let's take a moment here.
Yeah.
Like I'm angry.
Well, it gets better. I mean, in a sense, I actually saw some of my things at an auction, and not an auction place, an antique place, and I thought, whoa, that looks just like mine. And if it is not mine, then I know for a fact that she would have brought the stuff here. So I went to the lady there. It was West End Antiques by Staples Mill Road, Richmond, Virginia. And I said, do you deal with Cannon's auctions? And she was like, oh, yeah, we do. So I started taking pictures of everything, which I will have on my podcast. My stuff, my parents, you know, so I know good and well she didn't discard it, you know. And also she had told, I think my sister had said that she sold the trailer, and which was probably worth 20 or 30,000, the RV, that and the truck for 9,000. Well, at least that's what she wrote, you know. But what happens in these businesses is there are a lot of people. It's a network. It's a network.
Yeah. Oh, no, I see it.
Yeah. So she goes to the RV dealer and she says, hey, you know, write me a receipt for $5,000. We'll pocket the difference. She also, because I did my background investigation. Oh, she just sent me an email.
Yeah.
Visit father. I had asked if I could visit my father. So we'll see what she says. And then my mind went blank. What was I saying?
Yeah. No, I mean, basically what you're telling me is that there's an individual, and that individual may or may not be a lawyer. It could be somebody that I guess does a sort of a conservatorship education on the internet and probably can actually take the role if they pass a few exams.
Yes, if that. And
yeah.
I don't know if in the state of Virginia they even have to have a background check.
And basically they're making decisions on your behalf, but they're not even including you in the decisions.
Correct.
It seems so far-fetched. I mean, you can understand the theory behind it. The theory is there's people in the world that can't take care of themselves that are being actually potentially defrauded. So your parents might have had people trying to defraud them, and then, for instance, you or your sister might go to and say they need a guardian because they can't take care of themselves.
Yeah, please, nobody get a guardian.
Do you think your sister regrets that she brought the guardian in now, or does she, are you, I mean, I don't
she does.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does.
Because once they're in, there's no way out.
Once they're in,
was what I'm getting from you.
Yeah, and you know, when this was going down in December, I started. I posted something on Facebook. It was like, you know, Elders Against Guardianship Abuse or something, and I thought, my God, I can't believe this is happening. You know, and I posted that, and I said, what should I do? You know, I want to get her for theft. I want to go to the police. I want to go to the magistrate. And they said, oh, the same thing happened to me. So now I've got like 200, probably close to 200 people on my Facebook that have had this exact same stuff happen. And there's even a group called Murder by Hospice. It's, I mean, murder for profit. I mean, it's a business. And the whole thing is, you know, once they get the money, then they start drugging the individuals. And I know for a fact, because I have proof. I have the audio recording November 20th when my mother was catatonic. And then they've been, you know, I've been trying for 3.5 years to get the med list. I've been trying last week to get the med list. And I was told that the med list would be given to the guardian. I guess she was going to review it to see what I could, or maybe make some changes. And then she would give me the med list. She's an attorney, not a doctor. I just wanted the med list.
No, I understand.
They knew they were being drugged.
Yeah. And in a weird way, no one is holding the guardian accountable for their actions.
Not one person. And I actually went to have a meeting with the CEO, the administrator of the facility, and the other day, and I was told the guardian has said, we cannot communicate with you. So, and then I said, well, can somebody contact the guardian? Since I'm here, I'd like to see my dad. She won't answer if I contact her. So I wasn't able to see my dad.
So the guardian has complete control, even
complete control to murder.
Yeah.
I mean, the crimes that they do is worse than you can imagine.
You can't, your mom at the moment is in the state where we don't know how much longer she'll live. Are you able to go to the hospital and see your mom now?
I am right now, and I made sure that I got her banned because I was told that she would probably be stopping by to meet with hospice. And I don't want her to say that I cannot see my mother, because she had threatened that already when she took my visitation away from my father. And I was up all night and I did some research on like opioid drugs, sedatives. And, you know, she was over sedated in my mind, you know, and I think, and I asked for that test, you know, now had they done the test or any test, and it showed nothing, but you know, you can't trust anybody when you're in this situation. And the people that are supposed to protect you, the systems that are supposed to protect you, do not. There is just, you don't know how, you feel very helpless, hopeless, angry. There have been many times that I sat in the car thinking, who do I go to? Who do I go? I called the Attorney General twice. I called 911 while I was at the hospital because she had symptoms of like poisoning. And they said, well, you have a guardian, or you're at the hospital. Let them take care of it. You know, and I'm thinking
they'll call you crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like, yes. And I remember when I called the Attorney General, I spoke with somebody, and he had said, okay, so let me get this right. You feel you're being wiretapped, and I do have a report. That's a different story. And they're drugging your mother. And I was like, yeah, but the way they, you know, made it seem, it was like, oh my God, you know? And I'm like, look, if somebody can just come here, I have all the evidence all of the evidence. I had 2 briefcases, the emails, everything, the documents, the audios, the recordings, everything that would put that bitch away forever.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but the thing is that here's how it works, is that you've now combined 2 things independently of one another. Because if a person has a profit motive at the same time as they're actually caretaking, then you're relying on them to be upstanding citizens. And if there's no accountability in the system, then it breeds corruption, which is obviously highlighted in these 2 movies, at least that are occurring right now.
And also in the comments.
Yeah, the comments is like a Christmas tree we've got lit up in the moment.
Let me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I see.
And what I'm also sensing, which just seems so far-fetched to me, is that the guardian has no responsibility to interact with the kids. In fact, the kids are getting in the way of what the guardian wants to do, which is just implement whatever it is they want to implement.
Only a sociopath can do this. They already know when they are appointed. They already know when they sign up and think, oh, I want to be a guardian or a conservator. I don't know if there are any legit ones, because it kind of be rough on them. You know, why make so little when all you have to do is this and you make so much? I mean, peer pressure. I don't think there are any legit, you know, private or public, especially strangers that come into your house and treat you bad, defame you, put you down, accuse you of things. And, you know, it's... I never believed that the world could be so corrupt.
Yeah.
So corrupt. You know, we're talking judges, guardian ad litems, attorneys. You know, I've gone to maybe 10, 15 different attorneys, and all are like, there's a conflict. Some are like a conflict of interest, or no, we can't do it civil, or we don't do that.
Yeah, it sounds,
I understand now.
When I've gotten into systems like the one you're speaking of, there's like this circular non-accountability. And I see it happen a lot in bureaucracy. So one person makes a decision, and their decision is so insular that they don't have to take any consequence for the behavior. And then it goes to the next person, and their accountability is so insular that, so in the end, the whole system is the corruption, not in fact any single individual. Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
Yes.
I mean, so the sadness that comes up for me is that it's often the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So let's agree that conservatorship and guardianship, it's a beautiful idea. It is. And if you think about it in terms of helping somebody who can't help themselves.
In a perfect world, maybe.
Yes, that's my point. And so what I hear is that there is no accountability within that system.
Correct.
Crazy.
There, you know, I've spoken with people that have told me, you know, they're gonna kill them. You need to kidnap them. You know, if I could go back in time rather than watch my parents being murdered, you know, I would kidnap them. And the stories that I have heard, it's just, and they're still dealing with it years later after their parents or their loved one dies. It's ridiculous. And there's always a DNR in place. Do not resuscitate. There's always a DNR.
Yeah, DNR, Bambos, is basically there's a healthcare directive, and what happens is if an individual, like let's say for instance, if we're looking at Christian's parents, the parents will usually have a will, and the will says, I have a healthcare directive, and I have the person who takes care of my belongings, my trust.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that in place, then basically, or maybe even if you do, if I understand Christian, it can maybe be even overridden. But basically what happens is that you get to decide how you want to go out. And one of the things you decide is you say, I have a DNR, which is a do not resuscitate, which means if Christian's mom or dad has a heart failure, you could bring them back to life. But the DNR says, don't do it, just let them die. So basically the guardian chooses for the individual that they're not going to be able to live any longer. They make that choice.
or if they choke, I mean, it's the slowest death.
Yeah. Does your father understand? Is your father conscious and can he comprehend? Like when he sees you, does he say, "Oh, hi, Christian," or is he lucid?
Oh yeah, he still shaves. Yeah, I mean, obviously they've actually done very well considering the fact that they've been in that prison, for lack of a better word, or concentration camp since Monday, February 26, 2018. So,
Okay.
Over 3 years. I think anybody would deteriorate if you take family, it's like taking a fish out of water.
Yeah.
They're going to not function. They're going to die. Especially with the COVID, then, I wasn't able to contact my parents via phone for a year and a half because I was blocked and nobody did anything.
And if your parents said, "We want to speak to Christian," were they blocked or how did that work?
Well, I don't really want to get into the family situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But the weird thing is that not trial. I actually wanted a jury, and I wanted a trial, and I definitely wanted a court reporter, and I can't believe that my lawyer, and he's crooked, he didn't do one thing out of like the 20 things he said he would do. And then he shook the other person's hand and said, good job. And I thought, wow.
What film am I in?
I was just traumatized.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other word. There was something I was going to say about that, and my mind went blank. No, I can't remember.
I see when Bambos has those eyes, I like to leave a little bit more space to see what comes up.
Well, the only thing that comes up for me is, what would you want to do if you see your mama?
I'll give you an idea of how rough the last few days were. There were times that, because I've heard of stories of what happened to other parents, and that they would give them, a lot of times they use morphine. They give them like high doses of morphine, and they pretty much kill them. So every time they would ask me to leave the room, I would get nervous, and I would really watch my mother, if sometimes she would be awake, and she understood, she had trouble communicating, and I forgot the word, but it can also be from over sedation. So all the symptoms that she has, they need to rule that out before they kill her, and they're not doing that.
Yeah.
They're taking a beautiful soul and counting the minutes until they can just spend the money. I'll never see a dime. She hasn't given us any kind of report. There's absolutely nothing, that anybody will do. I even wrote the White House. And I'm going to continue, though. And when I create my own podcast, I will out everybody and show all the evidence that I have. But there was something that I was going to say regarding the trial. I can't remember.
We have this comment from Karen Miller Burling. The guardian has to financially support the ward once the estate is liquidated, which is why the DNR is put in place. If there is money left when the ward passes, the guardian and attorneys will drag the probate out till there's nothing left. So this gets to the whole scam side of this whole thing, which is that if you have an ulterior motive to get money, then you're not incentivized to do what's in the family's interest. Mm-hmm. So there's an inherent conflict of interest in this system, which doesn't appear to be dealt with by anyone. That's what I'm hearing over and over again.
Yes, and also I think that it was really a conflict of interest with the realtor that she used to sell the house, because without saying the name of, the person, her boss. The realtor had the same exact name, so it was a family member.
So basically what you're saying is
split the money. Yeah, I mean the commission.
It kind of feels like as Christian's speaking, I kind of see this image, like it's almost like every project I've already got my 10 suppliers. I already know who's going to take care of the house, and there's going to be a cut there. I already know who's going to take care of the car. There's going to be a cut there. I already know who's going to take care of the auction house. So it's almost like, it's really like it feels wrought with financial corruption.
Yeah.
And that's what you've had to live through for the last, 3 years?
3.5.
Sorry that this is what your reality has been. Yeah, and the saddest part of it is that the louder you scream, the more they're going to use it against you, because that's what people in these positions like to do. They like to make the individual who's exposing the corruption to be the crazy one. So they're just going to say, you're yelling loud. Oh, just be quiet, as if not yelling is the appropriate way to deal with somebody who's scamming you.
Yeah. But, it's just a matter of time, because they've been doing this for decades.
Yeah.
But now with social media, people recording things, it's just going to be a matter of time.
Yeah.
And it will be worth it.
You saw, of course, I'm sure you've probably even, followed the whole thing with Britney Spears and, the fact that her dad has conservatorship. You know anything about this? Basically, Britney Spears, her dad has control of her money because the same thing that happened to Christian's parents happened to her.
Back when, I think, when she shaved her head.
When she shaved her head. Think about imagine this, Bambos. Say 10 years ago, you're just like, I'm losing it. I'm cutting my hair. I'm going to be crazy. and then someone says, Hope, you can't manage your life anymore. So then all of a sudden the government comes in and you lose control over all your financial assets. It seems your brain can't comprehend the craziness in this.
No, it's very hard to live through.
And so you don't have much longer, it sounds like, with your mom.
Okay.
How do you want to spend that time? Because sure as hell, I would rather cut this episode short and let you get the hell out of here and do what you want to do. But what for you is important for you at this moment?
In my mind, I still want to fight for somebody to listen and to just go there and do a drug sample. When the Guardian said the doctor thinks, the doctor doesn't think, it's like there is no proof, and the email was a lie, because when she said comfort care, that she would be in comfort care now, and she said that she had talked to the doctor yesterday. Well, I think on my Facebook, I had noted comfort care. It was definitely before she talked to the doctor. A nurse accidentally slipped up and said, oh, she's in comfort care. And I was thinking, what do you mean comfort care? They were talking to me, the Guardian, about releasing her to a skills facility. See, they like to give you hope, and then take it away, give you a little bit more hope. Yeah, I mean, they're beyond sociopaths. I mean, it's almost like a new breed. So I know that was a lie, because the nurse slipped up and said, comfort care. And I said, what are you talking about? And then he said, oh, never mind. She's just a DNR. That she said that she came up with that after. So it was already planned. She was not, planning on moving her to a skilled nursing facility.
Yeah.
That's why she never gets back to me or my sister. Yeah, she charges, we don't even know. We can't even control in the state, United States of America. We cannot even control how much they make. There's no set figure.
So she could charge you $1,000 an hour, and that's just fine.
Well, they say reasonable. So I guess if you have a crooked judge that wants half of that, yeah, I guess so. It would be reasonable, because, we have no say in it. So it's what's reasonable to them.
there's no standard in the government that says, hey, you can't charge over that certain amount.
Exactly.
So reasonable is interpreted by the individual.
Correct. And also, the Guardian, at least in my situation, they were able to come up with the order because I had access to the information that said, you know how when you email somebody, you see the other emails, especially in Google or Gmail, and it said, well, so and so, I changed number 1, number 4, number 8, and I want to be paid by the hour. Can you add that? And then I'm fine with that. And I'm thinking, wow. So I thought the judge creates the order. So she pretty much decides what she wants to do and creates the own order to follow. You know?
It's mind numbing what you're sharing right now.
And that's just the tip, of the iceberg. You just really can't trust anybody.
We've had a few episodes of injustice, and it always, at least for me, it always turns my stomach inside out.
Yeah.
I have no words for you, Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like in a way, what one doesn't see is they're taking away all of the moments, which is what they're taking away for fuck the goods, fuck the house,
I don't care about that.
But they're taking away the moments that you actually want to cherish in the most difficult time of your life, which is being there for the people that were there for you at times in your life and having that experience. And that's what's hard to stomach.
And what they do, and I thought I was the first one that came up with this word, and then I realized that other people use the same word. And if you watch The Guardians, they use the word rape. They raped this family. They're raping this family.
Yeah.
You know, it's every second of every minute, you know, knowing that they can do whatever they want, control not just their life, but your life, the siblings, you know, and not do anything.
Yeah.
You know, she hasn't gone over there. She contacts the nurse, and everybody's involved. It makes you wonder, you know, who's getting paid or how many and how much.
I've also noticed in elderly, when you drug elderly, and I see a comment to this alluding to this as well from Karen Miller, is that when you drug elderly, you can easily diagnose them as having dementia.
Yes, they do that.
Yeah. And I've seen it in my own friend circle when I had a friend whose mother went into a folks home, and they were giving her drugs there. And then all of a sudden there's a rapid deterioration in their capacity to think. And instead of associating it with the drug that they were giving it, they called it dementia. And then they actually said, this is another drug regime. So then they added more drugs, which created even more deterioration, which was just, it was sad to see.
They've gotten very good at this game.
That was in the US, yes.
They've gotten pretty good at it over the decades.
Yeah. And I see another, you know, basically just for those, we've got at least 10 people that we haven't never had this many comments on any show we've ever done. So clearly you're not alone in this experience, as we can see from our Christmas tree lighting up on the screen at the moment.
I recognize a lot of them. Yeah.
And I see that even the people here, they're also suffering the same thing you're saying. So in some interesting way, you've become a galvanizing point for all of these other people that have had to undergo the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's going to be my mission,
you
know, until my last dying, you know, breath, to get justice and to fight for what happened to the other families, for what is happening, for what continues to happen. You know, I think that once, you know, we all get together, it will be a lot more of us, you know, and we will be able to get justice. But it's going to take time, and it's educating others, and it's supporting one another. And for example, the other day, like I said earlier, there were times that I thought, oh my gosh, is my mom passing? And I talked to her starting maybe a week ago, thinking, Mom, and I was caressing her hair, and I'm thinking, I don't want you to hurt. I know you can hear me. So if you need to go, it's okay. I will be okay. Because she was always worried, you're going to be alone. You're going to, I can't help you, So I let her know that I would be okay. And that whatever she decided, was fine. But I didn't want her to worry or remain in a body if she was in pain, for me or for other reasons. So I told her it was okay. And I remember something had happened, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to lose my mother today. And it was when I was, just typing different posts on Facebook, because you get to this panicky thing. You can't do anything, and your parents are dying, and nobody's listening, and you're in the car. And then I spoke with somebody for about an hour. I actually spoke with a couple people, and they weren't even in the state. And the same thing happened to them. And I thought, oh my gosh, for the first time in so long, 3-4 years, I felt support. And I felt that other people really understood, and they grounded me, and I think that we all have a mission. And, I guess mine's to spread the world and advocate and be an activist and go for justice everywhere I can, and if I scream and they scream, then I'm just going to have to scream louder.
Yeah.
Because it's wrong. Wrong.
Yeah, I think I've seen injustices like this, and it's almost like they become so institutionalized that everyone takes for granted how absurd they are.
Yeah.
And then in some weird way, at the back end, when we actually see how crazy it was, we ask ourselves, how could we have ever let it get to this?
Yeah.
And what I don't get, and this is what I just can't fathom, is that so as we speak, for instance, your dad, if he wants to even see your mom, like he doesn't have that right to go see your mom.
He never did. When she was in the emergency, it was me that would pick him up and take him back. They didn't care.
But you needed to get permission to do that as well, I'm assuming. You couldn't just say...
she doesn't want him to see her. Yeah. Last I got the email, she didn't think it was, and it was all planned, Can
you imagine that? The wife, the husband can't go to see the wife, and she's going to die.
And, they sold the house December 18th, a day before their 60th wedding anniversary. I never told them, obviously there was no need, but I have all the recordings of my dad contacting me and calling me and crying and asking me, why can't she come pick me up? And I want to see my wife. And he's crying and he's not eating and he's depressed. So what the guardian did was get somebody, a caretaker, and sit in his room. And when I would call or talk to him, I'd say, well, what are they doing? Oh, they're doing something with their phone. And another time I said, what are they doing? Oh, they're sleeping. Little does he know he's paying for that. But there will be justice.
Yeah.
When you first sensed that something was wrong on this journey, you obviously didn't know that all these people had the same experience. Like, in a way, you were questioning yourself, right? Like, am I seeing this right? Am I nuts?
Yes. And it wasn't until this past December that, when I joined one Facebook group, and then and then somebody said I vented about my stuff being auctioned off, my parents' stuff being auctioned off. I have 2.5 pictures, and I say half because my dog had gotten a hold of it, but I kept the little pieces of, the picture. I still have it. But, the sentimental things, my mom's shawl that she wore all the time, the memories. And it's like, and it's really weird because right before the house was sold, and I didn't think that, I tried to stop it. I tried to really stop it, but the courts, you go to the court, they don't help you. Oh, we don't have a form like that. Well, you can't do that, you get turned down, and you get spit in the face by not just one person, but multiple organizations over and over and over and over. Adult Protective Services, Child Protective Services. What I've encountered in my experience with them, they haven't done their job. I've got recordings of, they're, all 8 of them, the ombudsman. The ombudsman is supposed to, also deal with the facility complaints and stuff like that. It took me 14 months before I met the ombudsman, before my parents had a care plan meeting, and that it was acknowledged that I had at least the durable power of attorney over my mother. It took 14 months. And my parents were never allowed to participate in any planned meeting about their care. They were not asked what they wanted. The guardian did not do one thing. She actually did the opposite of everything they would have wanted.
Did your parents live together when they were
Yes.
put into care? So they were together until your mom was not healthy enough to stay with your father anymore.
Yes. And up until this morning, we were still looking for a skilled nursing facility.
Yeah.
And what I was saying earlier, when I spoke with that person, and I felt that I had a few days ago, and I felt, oh my gosh, I've got support. They grounded me. I remember going upstairs, and I've been in survival mode for 3.5 years. And I remember, that the guardian had called me, and I thought, oh my God. And then my sister had called me within an hour of each other. And I thought, oh my gosh, something probably happened to mom, So I was racing up there thinking, and I'm seeing like everybody in the hallway. And I'm like, my God, my sister's going to text me back saying she's dead, and I go up there and I open the door and I see my mom's eyes just bright open, and I thought, oh my God. And I just went there and I felt such love, and I just hugged her, and I thought that was just the most wonderful feeling, to see her open her eyes. And,
yeah,
there's nothing wrong that can't be fixed or that they did purposely and intentionally. This is beyond murder.
Yeah.
And I don't even think prison would be appropriate for them. So
it is beyond murder.
I think if you had to give someone that would be watching this show clear directions as to how to avoid this nightmare, what would that be?
Well, honestly, if we don't get a grip on this, I don't know if we can avoid it, because a lot of the people that I have spoken with were durable power of attorneys. They did everything right. They did everything right, but somehow everything was changed. And there's just bribery. There's, fraud beyond what you can even imagine. And, but I would definitely say start young and do a durable power of attorney and a medical power of attorney and the advanced medical directive. Put your wishes on paper. Do not just, make one copy. Give a whole bunch of copies out to relatives. Keep everything in a safe place. Record it like the durable power of attorney. Record it with circuit court, the courthouse. Do it before you're diagnosed or before you become incompetent. Maybe in your 40s, 50s. You can always change it. but you never know. I spoke with a lady for 7 hours 4 days ago, and she had lost 16 members. And one was a disabled person, 47 years old. And another thing they do, because there's a lot more to the story, but another thing they do is get rid of their organs, and even if they weren't organ donors.
Yeah, they didn't have any choice.
Yeah. And a lot of times they will cremate against the family's wishes to hide the evidence of drugging.
Mm.
It sounds like you don't have a life. This is completely consuming you.
Yeah.
Yes. I haven't had a television in 4 years. I'm up every other night, I think I watched my first movie the other night, and I don't know how many years, It's just, and I tell myself, and I think this is just, but you're constantly on the go, And then there are times, you realize how wrong it is. And the sad thing is that before I found all these other people that went through the same thing, I was so alone. Nobody really understood the magnitude of this. I'm like, I'm being raped. And yeah, I use that word. And I've gone and to Commonwealth attorneys. I know them on first name basis. I've gone to the police departments. I've gone to the detectives. I've gone to attorney general, magistrates, lawyers. It's in facility. The facility. I mean, it's just, you don't know how deep the fraud is. It's almost like just.
Well, what we know, what we can say with a high degree of certainty is that everything that's been sold is going to pay the lawyer who basically is benefiting from all of the things that they're doing or not doing. That's clear, because they're the one thing we always know that they're going to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And
they pay themselves first.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They'll get paid. So the house that was sold probably at a less price than what it would have gotten if it was sold through a legit organization, or you sold it. The proceeds will then, of course, go back to the lawyer. Very little chance you'll see any money from anything that's been sold, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Robin Lynn says she's afraid that you're going to die of a heart attack if you continue at this pace. So how do you think,
right now? I wouldn't think that's such a bad thing.
Yeah, I can see that. What would you say? How could you start, if any, taking care of yourself a little bit just to make sure that what do you have to make peace with so that you can proceed in life and not have this be the only thing that consumes you?
Well, my job is as a mental health counselor, so I use positive affirmations. I remind myself that I can only do but so much. Of course, I'm a high achiever, and I'm always going because I want to get, I want to feel like I'm doing something. Especially when you feel very helpless and loss of hope, and so it's just hard. But I don't think that I'm going anywhere anytime soon because I have a mission.
Yeah, I was gonna say this will keep you alive for a really long time.
A long shot.
Yeah, and I guess what I learned from this is a lot of learnings for me on this show, was that I didn't realize that the animosity or the problems or the issues between the kids actually has a big consequence that you could never know ahead of time. So
exactly, and that's an open doorway.
Yeah, that's an open door. It's like you think that actually I'm not getting along with them. Let's escalate this. But once you bring in the government, your life is over. They are now responsible, and they don't take any care for you. So actually, the real world or the real gem here is get along with the damn siblings so you don't have to be in a position like this in the future, because the cost is greater than you'll ever imagine.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. We've come to the end of our hour. Thank you for taking the time, especially given that you're getting emails as we speak around this subject. Yeah.
Well,
And,
thank you for having me on here. And, I just hope that people do some research, watch The Guardians. It is even 10 times worse than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't ever say things can't get worse.
Yeah. I think that's a lesson. Don't think that things can't get worse. I mean, even if you're arguing with your sibling, once you bring it, it'll get so much worse you can't imagine. I bet you that's how, of course, you ended up where you are, is thinking that it couldn't get worse. Yeah. And a lot of people are saying that they love you and that they're there to support. So you have a network of people who are here to support as well, I see, which is really beautiful. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank
really
you.
Beautiful to be with you. Yeah. Send you a lot of love.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
you. I told you that was going to be a rough one, Bambos.
I told you it's going to be a rough one.
God. Injustice shows suck. Injustice shows
we've had
suck.
like three.
Yeah. It's like when you see injustice in the world, and somehow even worse is institutionalized injustice. And you can imagine a system which is so there's just too many conflicts of interest. How can something like this exist without any accountability? It's just
when money gets in the way.
Money gets in the way. Money gets in the way. You have a network. You throw off the house. You throw off the auction. Everyone is feeding every money to everyone else. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. And you can see, I mean, the Christian's word was rape. And I guarantee you, all these people watching, this is what they've been feeling when this has happened to them, is they feel like they've been raped. So for all you viewers, we're actually sorry that this is what you've had to go through. It's horrible. Just horrible. Yeah.
I'm just sitting with someone taking the agency of, you're not allowed to see your loved ones anymore.
You're not allowed to see your loved one.
And as you said, fuck the money. It's like I can't see my dying wife. I can't see my mother, my father.
No.
Or a lot of time and energy needs to be put into it to even get a glimpse of them.
Yeah. Or they're going to be put on drugs, which are going to accelerate their demise, create symptoms that appear like dementia. And then we use that in order to give them more drugs so they die sooner. So the whole system, there's no one, the Guardian is not incentivized to look for the longevity and to support the individual who's
to reintegrate.
And I'm assuming this film that's there is kind of highlighting the scam that this is.
Or if there's a film made, it means there's an awareness of it, but still there's nothing being done about it.
There's nothing being done about it. And that's when I've seen in life, one of the worst injustices is the ones that happen right underneath our nose, because it's become so institutionalized that no one asks, how absurd is this? No one says, where is the accountability in this system? They say, oh, this is how we've decided how to deal with it. But just because we decided to deal with it that way doesn't mean it was right or that it didn't have flaws. So I'm going to need to take a shower after this show. Okay. So we thank you for spending the week with us. This is certainly the most commented show we've ever had in the history of A Wonderful Chaos.
This one and the one with the woman whose father was in jail.
Yeah, this one and the two Injustice shows the two big ones that we've had on recently. Thank you for being with us. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you next week again on Monday. We're on Monday, yeah. Are we going to do that on
A wonderful
chaos? See you next week. Bye-bye.